Hello there, this is Only One Kenobi, Only One, with episode 6 of the Vintage Collection wishlist. Just so you know, if you are a viewer and you're following this series, I don't really have any kind of order that I'm doing this in. It just so happens I have a list, as anyone who's a subscriber knows, of figures I'd love to see make it on a vintage cardback. But certain things are inspiring me to do the next video in this line. Krennic was somebody I always wanted to have on a vintage cardback, so now is the time, because it was actually last night I watched Rogue One again. So this guy is, in my opinion, a great character. Something new, but yet so familiar. So let's get right into this guy and why I think he's so good. There's something about Krennic that reminds you about two other characters in the Star Wars universe. Number one being Wolf Yularen, who is seen in A New Hope around the Death Star briefing room table. The other character, of course, is Grand Admiral Thrawn. The similarities of Krennic and these other two guys is that he is obviously a high-ranking official of the Empire, and of course he's wearing white Imperial officer attire. Ben Mendelsohn, I think he did a great job in Rogue One. Yeah, I thought Rogue One absolutely blew me away in the cinema, and I thought that it was great casting by Disney. The thing I liked about Krennic was, for years we've been getting these figures of Imperial officers holding pistols, and there's one thing we've never seen in a Star Wars film, and that's a guy who's usually sat behind a desk, you'd imagine, or in a board meeting or a control room, holding a pistol. And this guy did. And he was not only that, he was on the front line, he had his death troopers with him. He was somebody probably like Darth Vader, who not only wanted to have power, but he wanted to get his hands dirty to some extent by getting involved in the action. And that's what you saw Krennic doing in this movie. It was just nice to see, finally, a movie showing off some new characters who expanded the universe that we've all been thinking about for so many years and dreaming about it. And it was exactly how you just imagined to have more and more people behind the scenes pulling strings and working for favour with the Emperor. I mean, it's one thing that's clear about Krennic in the movie is he is obsessed with winning favour with Emperor Palpatine, much like the goons under the ranks of Adolf Hitler were constantly bickering, squabbling. It's exactly what George Lucas wanted to convey in the original movie. Bureaucrats fighting, selfishly working for their own gain. But there's one thing I did detect in the movie. You can tell that he has a kinship with Jyn Erson, maybe a mutual respect or admiration for his scientific genius. The hatred that develops between the two is probably largely because of the fact that he can't wrap his head around, this is Krennic, Krennic can't understand why Erso can't just join him, join the Empire. We're taking over, we're bringing peace to the galaxy. Unfortunately, the difference between Krennic and Erso is that Krennic is the powermonger, whereas Erso is the pacifist. You can see that there's a core of evil within the Empire. The other interesting part of Krennic's role in Rogue One is to see the dynamics between him and Tarkin, the politics of the Empire, and also how ruthless Tarkin is. Just like the Nazi Party and the Purge, the Night of the Long Knives by Hitler, it just shows how far this guy will go just to gain power of his own and favour of the Emperor. Not only does he want rid of Krennic, he would sacrifice all the lives of the Imperials on Scarif just to get one man out of the way. Ruthless. It was known that Tarkin was cold before, however now he seems a lot colder. This is why I think he would be a great vintage collection cardback. It's just nice to see an Imperial officer. We don't have many Imperial officers on vintage cardbacks already. We only have Grand Moff Tarkin. He was a key character in the whole of Rogue One. It's fascinating as well, the fact that when you watch A New Hope, there are some empty seats around that briefing room table. It begs the question, should Director Krennic have been sat there at the table with the others? Oddly enough, my favourite scene of Director Krennic in Rogue One was the scene where you get the flashback on Coruscant. Because for a brief moment in the movie, you get to see the comfort that he mentioned to Jyn Erson. You join us, you will live in comfort as heroes of the Empire. And you can see Krennic, Erso, his wife, his child, all living in what seems to be a luxury apartment maybe somewhere on Coruscant. And it's exactly the kind of concession that someone working for the Empire would have received. The figure that was released for Krennic in 5 points of articulation was excellent. It's just evidence of the fact that Hasbro have now managed, even at 3.75-inch scale, to really get a facial sculpt right, get nice sculpting and colouring on their figures. The next step for Krennic would be to fully articulate him and put him on a beautiful vintage cardback, and that would be a definite must-have for any collector of the vintage collection. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any thoughts or comments on Director Krennic, any information you'd like to share, then please let us know. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only One. Out.